Okay, so in this video we're going to be talking about sealed video games. And I don't know if you knew this or not, but the prices of them have been going way up. Now it's kind of controversial how this is happening because people from other collecting spaces such as comic books are coming into the space and almost like creating a new market. Now, what's so controversial about this, you might be asking? Well, the thing is, the people who are promoting this trend the most are also the people who are making the most money from it. So that's kind of suspicious, right? If you're making money off of something and you're the one promoting it, then that's going to raise some eyebrows. And when it comes to this, there are three key players. The first player is this company called Wata Games, and they're the ones who will seal and grade the games. You know, you ever see games in those like plastic cases, and you can do this to games that aren't sealed as well. And that is kind of happening with games like that too. But anyways, so there's those guys. They make a lot of money because for every game that gets graded by them, they're making a big chunk of money. The other company is Heritage Auctions, and from my understanding, they've always done auctions, but they've only more recently gotten into the whole video game thing. And with some of these sealed games selling for thousands and thousands of dollars, they get a chunk of the money every time. They get a chunk of whatever it sells for. So there's a ton of money to be made by them. And then the third key player is the people who are buying these games. Because they're spending all this money on these games, obviously they're going to want the value of these games to just go up and up, or, you know, at the very least, just stay where they are, not go down. And so, of course, they're going to be like, oh yeah, like this is a great trend. These games are going to be so valuable going forward. And so now's the time to jump in on this, because the thing is, down the road, maybe they want to sell them, or I don't know, maybe even if they don't want to sell them, just if you're spending a lot of money on something, you're investing money on it, then you want the value to remain high in order to make it a good investment. So the big question then becomes, are these high prices going to be sustainable, or, you know, potentially even continue to grow? And man, that's asking a lot, because these prices are super high. Look up some of the news articles of what some of these games are selling for. I mean, there was a sealed Mega Man NES game that sold for tens of thousands of dollars, and that's crazy. I mean, that's not by any means a super rare game, not at all. I mean, there's games that are way more rare, and a lot of these games that are you know, being graded and sealed and then sold for tons and tons of money are some of the more common iconic games. The idea is that they're iconic, they're games people actually like, characters people recognize, but yeah, it's crazy because they're not rare games. Something else that's being emphasized is variations among different versions of some of these older games. For example, on Super Mario Bros. 3, there's certain copies of that game where on the label where it says the word bros is on a different side than it was before. And this is something people didn't care about nearly as much as what it's being made out to be now. And so that's where kind of the controversy comes in, where it's like, okay, these people are coming in and saying, oh, this really matters now, when, you know, for decades nobody has really cared about that, the people collecting this stuff. And I think that's a really important distinction to bring up when talking about this, is that there seems to be, for the most part, a very clear divide between collectors who collect stuff that's sealed and collectors who collect stuff that is not sealed. I mean, I don't own a single sealed game because anything I ever buy is something that I want to play. And a lot of the, you know, really hardcore enthusiasts of gaming are like that, you know, where they want to play their games. And, you know, and sure, you know, some gamers who mostly have unsealed games will have a few sealed games here and there. Just the collector side of them will want to have that. But it seems to be people either go all in on the sealed game thing or not. So with that divide, what you have is this almost kind of backlash amongst the gamers who have been collecting for years and years, compared to these people who are seemingly just coming into the hobby and, you know, kind of making it something different than it was before, where they're telling everyone, hey, this actually matters now. And everyone who's been collecting all this time says, no, it doesn't matter. And I'm sure there's some crossover where some of the people who have been collecting for a long time are hopping in on this, you know, sealed game trend. And at the very least, maybe just selling the sealed games they already have, because they're like, hey, these prices are pretty high. I'm just going to sell now because I don't know if the prices are going to drop back down again or not, but I'm just going to make my money while I can. And I can't blame people for doing that. That seems like a smart idea. Okay, so with these sealed games selling for such incredibly high prices, my concern is that people will start to fake seal games, you know, seal up used games that are in good enough condition where it's convincing that it looks like it could be a new game, and getting a convincing enough seal. I know that these companies that grade the games do have a verification process to make sure they are indeed actual real sealed games, but for the amount of money that's at stake here, I'm sure people will try to think of convincing ways to seal some of these games back up. And the thing about a sealed game is that once it's sealed, and especially once it's graded and all of that, no one's ever going to open that sucker back up. So it could be a dirty, crusty, used copy of like John Madden Football with somebody's name written on it and stickers all over the place, you know, sealed up in there, and nobody would ever know because nobody would ever open it up. And when it comes to sealed games, I've actually got a quick little story for you. When I was a kid, I bought this game. It was called like Kobe Bryant 3-on-3 basketball or something like that. I don't remember the name of it. And, you know, rest in peace, Kobe, but this game really sucked. And I was sick of it after a couple days, and I really wanted to return it, but I couldn't because the seal had been broken. So I remember what my mom did, and this was very unlike my mom to do something like this, but she had this tool from her scrapbooking tools, because she would do a lot of scrapbooking, and it was like this heat gun type of thing that could seal plastic back up. And so we wrapped the game back up in the plastic that it came in, and we sealed that sucker up, and I remember it looking pretty convincing, and I took that thing back to Toys R Us and they accepted the return, and so I was able to exchange it for a copy of Pokemon instead, which was, you know, a really good trade for me, and that worked out. So anyways, my point is that if I, you know, the 10-year-old version of myself and my mom could come up with a way to convincingly seal a game, even though I know a Toys R Us employee isn't the best verification process, my point is that, you know, with more advanced technology, people could come up with convincing ways to seal these games. They're certainly going to try, I can guarantee you of that. But so anyways, those are my thoughts on this for now. This might be one of those stories that develops. So let me know if you'd like me to update you on what's going on with this as we go into the future and things change with this. And you know, of course, let me know what your thoughts in general are about this. I'd be curious what you all think about this. Yeah, so let me know what you think down below, and of course, I will see ya in the next video.